All right, first I'm going to start by saying I know the video quality is not great, but it was kind of an afterthought. I figured I couldn't find a video anywhere on how to do this, so I figured I'd make one. I thought about it kind of while we were in the process of it. But basically what I have is twin Suzuki 140s. They're '04 models, and the steering had gotten really stiff. They wouldn't turn back and forth. I tried putting like a 2x4 long ways, like a fulcrum, to rock them back and forth, try and break them loose. I found some other videos where some guys had like pumped gas in there and stuff to try and break the old grease free. This just, I don't know, it just wasn't really much of an option for me. Both motors were really bad. The starboard motor was worse than the port, but they were both just horrible. Would take grease, but just still, I don't know. It was a bad deal, but I saw a lot of people had the same issue, so I figured I'd make this video. Again, I apologize, it's not great, but essentially what we did was we didn't disconnect any of the linkage or throttle cables or anything. We just disconnected the motor from the bracket that mounts it to the boat, and we winched it up and swung it over to the side, tied it off essentially to the other motor so that we could disassemble the arm, the steering arm that goes down through that tube on the motor bracket. The biggest pain in the butt of the whole thing was removing the collar that has 2 bolts through it on the bottom. And man, I'll tell you, we heated on that thing with a torch, and that was key. We heat and beat, and the port motor came off. It took about 45 minutes to beat it off, and we took a triangle little precision file afterwards and cleaned out the splines on the tube, or not the tube, but the steering shaft that went through there. But honestly, I thought we were going to have to cut the starboard motor and just reorder a new one, because we beat on it for an hour with no progress, and it finally moved about like less than 1/4 of an inch, and we celebrated because we knew at that point that it was okay, it was possible to get it off. So we beat it off, finally got it off. It took almost 2 hours to get the starboard collar off. After that, I sanded all the rust off of the arm, put a coat of cold galv on it, and then spray painted it black. I know it's going to rust again eventually, but I'm sure somebody out there's got some ideas on how to do that better. But look, guys, I'm not a mechanic by any means. This is just what we did. It worked phenomenal. If you had an engine hoist or anywhere that you can, come along or whatever that you can hang from the rafters, you could do this. Feel free to shoot me any comments, questions, anything that I left out. Again, like I said, I'm not a mechanic. It's just we made it work, and it solved our problem.
Yeah. All right, here's what we got. We got Suzuki 2004 DF140. Could not find anybody on YouTube who has done a video on this, but had super stiff steering. As you can see, we've got the motor winched up on a big winch, holding it up. We haven't disconnected any of the cables, we just disconnected the steering linkage to the other one. But this tube right here and this bracket right here is what gets stuck. I've got it painted with some cold galv right now. We're gonna touch it up with some black, but this notoriously rust. This spline down here comes out of the bottom down here. I'll show you on this other motor where it's all still together. So what you have to do, let me see if I can get in here good. So you have to take off these 3 bolts on each side, and then there's a bolt that goes through here, and it's got a nut in here, and there's a big rubber washer in here. So these 2 bolts, one on each side, come off, and then you have to take the foot off, which is not bad at all. So that removes the shift linkage out of this tube, and then that takes the drive shaft out. But right in here, you can't see it real good. I apologize. Hold on, let me get a light. I'm sorry this video sucks, but nobody else has made one. So there's the bolt right there. So there's one on each side, and you can see that shift linkage coming through there. That slides out once the foot comes off. So the pain in the butt of the whole thing was removing this piece. So once these are out, there's a little circlip on the bottom of this that pops off of this spline right here. And then we heated this piece with a torch for a good 5 minutes, got it smoking hot, and then took a 2x4 and laid in here on the side and just beat on top of it and swapped back and forth from side to side until we got this piece off. I guess if it was really bad, you could order just that piece and beat the hell out of it with a sledgehammer to get it off, but that's how we did it. And I went on Brown's Point. Yeah, see, you can see here's this big rubber block and those long bolts go through here. But I went on Brown's Point Marine, ordered, there's a plastic bushing that goes in the top and the bottom, and then there's a washer and some shims that look just like the washer, but they're smaller, they're thinner. I mean, they're the same size diameter, but thinner. They go on so the washer, the oil seal goes in after the bushing, then the washer, and then 4 shims. And then the spline deal goes back on, and that's pretty well it. I'll update another video after I've put this all back together, but I've read countless threads. I read some guy saved me and told me that you could do this, but he didn't post any kind of video. So if you got a setup to do this, like I said, I'll post another video once we're done and it all glides back together. I'll try and do some video of the process, but I don't know, maybe it saves somebody some heartache. We've got the motor pulled away, the second motor. We're heating this little collar down here that comes off the spline. We already got the little clip off the bottom. Normally I'd take those ground wires right there off, but the screw was kind of stripped out, so we're just going to work around it. But this one's even stiffer than the other one. Like, you literally almost can't even move this one without hitting it with a hammer. So once we get this out, we're going to clean this bracket up, repaint it. It's not in horrible shape, but you know, so you had your 2 bolts that came out down here that went through. You know, there's this cover, and there's a bolt that runs the length of this in here. It's a 17 millimeter, and then these were 17 millimeter up here too. So hopefully we get it hot enough. This outside will expand. What we're doing is laying a 2x4 in, like laying it on top here, and then smacking it on either side with a hammer, big sledgehammer. So it's we just kind of got it winched up, rigged up best way we can, you know, safetied off. We actually moved the winch from this board and added a new board so we didn't have to readjust the trailer and all that stuff to get it to line up. So fingers crossed that this thing will come off. But you know, so far this other one was not horrible. I mean, this is the worst part right here, is getting this piece off. So we'll see.